Every summer, I see the same patterns play out between parents and their teens. My name is Presh, and I started Executive Function Tutors, where we have coached 500 plus students who struggle with organization, time management, and follow through to build systems that actually work for them. So in this video, I'm breaking down the biggest parenting mistakes that can ruin your teen's summer, what they look like in real life, and how to fix them so your teen actually builds ownership and independence, and you move away from project manager to the parent they actually can come to. Let's start with the first one, and it's one most parents don't even realize they're making. Mistake number one, doing things for them that they can actually do on their own. Your teen finishes dinner, leaves their plate on the counter, and goes off to La La Land. You sigh, pick up their plate, rinse it, and slide it into the dishwasher. It takes you maybe 10 seconds, and honestly, it probably feels easier than nagging them. But over time, those 10 seconds add up, not just in chores, but in missed chances for growth. When parents constantly step in to do things for their teens, even small things like putting away their dishes or their clothes, it quietly sends the message, I don't think you can handle this. So then teens start to internalize that, and it chips away at their sense of competence and ownership. The fix: shift from doing for to doing with. The next time you notice a task your teen can do, try saying in a neutral tone, hey, I noticed your dishes are still out. Do you want to do them now or after your show? That small choice gives them agency while still holding them accountable. You can also model collaboration early on. For example, if their laundry is piling up and they've never done it before, you can say something like, hey, let's do the first load together so you remember the steps. After you do the first load together, you can then ask them to repeat the steps or write the steps down so they can come back to it all on their own. Next time their laundry is piling up, you can set the expectation that you want them to do it, and they can let you know when it will be done. For your teen, this builds independence, problem solving, and competence around life skills. For you, it means less resentment and more respect for your teen. You also move away from being the household manager to being the coach who helps them build real life competence. Once parents stop doing everything for their teens, the next instinct is to look ahead, to make sure they're using that independence productively. But that's where many parents accidentally fall into the next trap. Mistake number two, the future framing trap. You're sitting at the kitchen table next to your teen, scrolling through summer camp options, and you catch yourself saying to them, if you don't do something productive this summer, next year's going to be rough. It sounds responsible, right? But to your teen, it reads and sounds like a warning label that says you're already behind. That pressure doesn't light a fire in your teen. In fact, it actually snuffs their fire out. Suddenly to them, summer feels like a countdown clock instead of a real break. As a result, your teen starts avoiding anything that smells like improvement. So what they do instead is they sleep in longer, they scroll longer, they give you one-word responses, and the more you push, the more they pull away. The fix: zoom out with your teen. This means that this summer is its own story. Try asking them, what's one thing you'd love to feel proud of by the end of the summer? When you ask this, you're not just changing the conversation, you're changing the dynamic with your teen. Teenagers are wired to crave autonomy. It's part of how they build identity and confidence. So when you stop future framing, you're telling them, hey, I trust you to lead your own growth. And to them, that trust is powerful because it invites them to take initiative instead of waiting and following your directions. And for you as a parent, it unlocks something too. Less tension, fewer power struggles, and more genuine connection. This way, you move away from being the project manager of their summer to being their sounding board. And that shift often leads to very surprising results, like teens who start setting their own goals, managing their own time, and even asking for your input because they feel ownership, not obligation. Now, if you're thinking, this all sounds great, Presh, but my child needs more than a conversation. They need someone actually helping them build these habits. Then that's exactly what our Executive Function Reset summer program is designed for. Executive Function Reset is for rising fourth graders through college who need a structured, supportive summer without it feeling like an extension of school. It's an 8-week one-on-one remote program where we work directly with your student on the executive function skills that make everything else easier, like organization, planning, follow-through, and self-awareness. The link is in the description below if you want to learn more. Now back to parenting mistakes. Even when parents do give their teens more ownership, there's another trap that can sneak in. Mistake number 3, the projection problem. You've got a plan. Maybe it's volunteering, SAT prep, or finally tackling that infamous summer reading list. But your teen, they just want to breathe. So as a parent, you start suggesting, which to them may sound a lot like assigning, even if you don't intend that. And then before you know it, you've signed up to be their project manager for their summer plans. So your teen might nod along, but inside they are tuning out. When every plan comes from you, your teen stops practicing their own decision-making and they stop owning their own time. And that's a missed opportunity because their planning and self-agency skills grow when they're in the driver's seat without a backseat passenger directing their every move. The fix: active listening. When you know what your teen wants to get out of the summer, your goal is to mirror what you've heard and ask them questions to learn how you can actually support. If they say they want a summer job, you need to resist the urge to take over. Instead, ask questions that help them think through the process. Try asking, what do you think the steps are to landing that summer job? And what part of the process do you think will be the hardest? These questions help them practice planning and problem-solving skills. Once they've shared, ask them, do you want help figuring this out, or do you just want me to listen? That question gives them agency and tells your teen that you trust their ability to lead. When you shift from directing to guiding, your teen then learns to think, plan, and act for themselves. And for you as their parent, it means less conflict and more collaboration. In that moment, you're not just helping them get a job, you're helping them build confidence in their decision-making and strengthening your relationship in the process. That's the kind of growth that you want to last long after the summer. But if parents are not fully present to notice those moments, we can accidentally miss the connection that makes all that growth possible. That's where the next mistake comes in. Mistake number 4, no special time. Your teen walks into the kitchen holding a tray of cookies they just baked. They're feeling proud, feeling a little nervous because they're trying to wait to see your reaction. By the time they get to you, you're half scrolling through your phone, half listening, saying something like, aha, that's great, while your eyes are still glued to the screen. So then your teen hovers for a second and then they quietly walk away. You didn't mean to brush them off, but in that moment, your teen got the message. What excites me doesn't excite my parent. Moments like that seem small, but they add up. And when they add up, teens will start to share less, not because they don't care, but because they stop expecting you to care. Over time, the relationship shifts from connection to coexistence. And when your teen experiences something hard like friend drama, stress, self-doubt, then they're less likely to come to you because they've learned you're not fully there. The fix: special time. Dr. Daniel Amen, a psychiatrist and brain disorder specialist, describes special time as 20 minutes a day with no commands, no questions, and no directions with your teen. This means joining your teen in their world, not inviting them into yours. Maybe that means asking them how they bake their cookies, helping them test a new recipe, watching their favorite show, or even sitting on the floor while they play and talk about a game you don't understand at all. Your goal is active presence. You want to put your phone down, make eye contact, and let your curiosity lead. If they're showing you something they made, ask them, what part did you enjoy? Or what made you want to try that? By asking these questions, you're not interrogating them, you're actually showing them that you're interested. And for your teen, this kind of attention says, you matter to me, not just your grades or your chores. It builds trust and emotional safety for them, which are the foundation for real communication. For you as a parent, it means fewer battles and more moments that actually feel good with your teen. So these 20-minute special time moments allow you to stop chasing that connection and instead start experiencing that connection with your teen. Because when you give them your full attention, even for 20 minutes, you're not just spending time, you're actually investing in the relationship that will carry both of you through the hard conversations around assignments, grades, and unmet expectations that will most likely surface this upcoming school year. But sometimes in our eagerness to see results, we start unconsciously measuring success only by the outcomes, like the grades, the achievements, and the visible wins. And when that happens, it can lead to our last parenting mistake. Mistake number 5. Focusing only on outcomes and not their progress. Your teen sits at the table, rotting away on their phone. You ask for the 5th time, "So, what do you want to do this summer?" They shrug and say, "I don't know." Immediately, you feel that familiar frustration rise and think to yourself, they should already know what they want. This is the 5th time I've asked. So you try to take a deep breath and remind them of all the opportunities they could take, but they just seem stuck. When parents focus on the outcome, like what their teen should already know, decide, or initiate, they unintentionally skip over the most important part of growth, which is the process. Skills like planning, prioritizing, and initiating don't just magically appear. They're built through practice, reflection, and small wins. When the focus is only on the end result, teens can feel like they're constantly falling short. They start to believe they're behind or lazy, when in reality, they're just still learning how to think and act independently. The fix: start verbalizing progress. Instead of asking your teen, "Why haven't you started to look up this summer program?" Try, "What's one small step you could take today around your summer plans?" Or, "What helped you get started with planning last time?" These questions help your teen reflect on their process and build self-awareness. For your teen, this shift builds confidence and momentum. They start to see themselves as capable of figuring things out, not just meeting their parents' expectations. For you, it can mean less frustration and more collaboration. And when you celebrate your teen's progress and not just the outcomes, you're teaching them that growth is important and that you're in the process with them versus waiting at the finish line. All right, here's what I want you to take away from this video. Growth doesn't happen in spite of your relationship with your teen. Growth happens because of it. And if your teen needs more than a mindset shift this summer, if they need someone in their corner and you need a partner that will coach them to actually build the habits of organization, planning, and follow through so they feel prepared and confident for next school year, then our Executive Function Reset program might be the right fit. It's an 8-week one-on-one coaching program designed specifically for students who struggle with organization, planning, time management, and follow through. We cap enrollment at 40 families each summer, and spots will close by June 28th. Go ahead and click the link in the description to learn more. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace.